Hello my friends, and welcome back to our channel, Home is Where Our Heart Is. My name is Dane, author of the series of books Knowledge to Forage and Foraging, the complete guide for kids and families. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and thank you all for joining me here today, where I'm absolutely blessed to be spending my time with a brilliant blossoming apple tree. Apple trees are fantastic trees. They grace this good world with billions of apples every year. These apples have fantastic flavours, health benefits and history too. So if you're interested, then come with me and let's dive into the world of the apple tree. So apple trees are in the Rosaceae family. What does that mean? Well, it means the apple trees are related to the brilliant and beautiful rose. How incredible is that? The apple tree is related to the rose flower. Now, when it comes to lifespan, they only live for around 30 to 100 years, but in this time they provide an abundance for wildlife. Now, there is many types of apple in this world. When it comes to apple varieties, there's more than 7,500 different types of apple, and every single apple tastes slightly different. But when it comes to identifying apple trees, they all look pretty similar. You see, in spring they blossom with their beautiful white flowers that have dashes of pink like watercolor. These flowers have 5 petals, and when you smell them, they have a unique, slightly appley perfume. Then, once these are pollinated by pollinators slowly throughout the year, they'll transform into the apple fruits. By late summer, autumn, these flowers would have transformed into apple fruits. And these come in many different shapes, sizes and colours. You've got the more common apples, such as the crab apple, which is a yellowy red, the bright green Granny Smiths, the bright yellow golden delicious, the red delicious, and the more rarer apples, such as the black Oxford apple or the pink pearls. Now, when it comes to the edibility of apples, of course, the apple fruits are famously edible. We all love a fresh apple plucked from the tree, but not many realise that the blossoms are edible too. And when we eat the blossom, it releases a slightly appley perfume that really helps you bask in the ambiance of the lovely countryside. Now, of course, every blossom you take away takes away a future apple. So take blossoms at your own risk, because of course many of us would much prefer an entire apple than just a few petals. And apples, of course, have many fantastic recipes. You can eat them fresh, mush them up into apple sauce, make them into an apple crumble, apple pie. There's entire books devoted to apple recipes. We personally like to make what's known as apple snaps. The kids call them apple crisps, and this is where we slice up the apple into slices and dry them out. This not only preserves them, it changes their flavour, kind of more like an apple sauce flavour, and the kids can take these in their packed lunch wherever they are, off in the countryside, and nibble on them just like a wild and free snack. Now, apple snaps are delicious, and you can find the video tutorial on our channel on how to make them. Speaking about apple preservation, you may have noticed in many people's gardens they have apple trees, and you'll see the floor absolutely laden with apples that are left to rot. This is most likely because the owner can't eat 5,000 apple crumbles, and they just can't eat all the apples the trees provide, because apples provide such an abundance. Apple trees pour with free food. But it's a wonder how apple preservation isn't more common knowledge, because it's so simple. All you have to do is collect up your apples and wrap them up in some paper, newspaper for example, and then place them in somewhere cold and dry, preferably on shelves so air can flow around them, and this will keep your apples fresh for the rest of the year. But if you don't preserve your apples, there's no need to worry, because this isn't a bad thing. Of course, mammals will come along, foxes and badgers will eat the apples, and the apples will mulch back into the soil and be enjoyed by insects, naturally compost, and the tree will reabsorb much of the nutrition in a cycle of life that goes round and round. When it comes to giving, the apple tree is one of the best, because it provides an abundance of fruit for the world, as well as nectar, and even caterpillars enjoy eating its leaves. Fun fact though, did you know that apple seeds contain cyanide? But it's in very small amounts, so there's nothing to worry about. And another fun thought is you can count the seeds in an apple, of course. When you chop it open, you can count the apple seeds. And you can plant these to grow more apple trees. But can you count the apples in a seed? When you look at an apple seed, imagine how many future apples come from that single tiny seed. Millions and millions of potential apples can come from that tiny seed, because if you plant that seed, it will give birth to an apple tree, and thousands of apples will bloom and blossom and drop to the ground from this apple tree, each one providing more seeds. The endless amount of free food that can come from a single seed is mind-blowing. So where did the apple trees come from? Where did they originally originate? Well, it's believed that the apple began its fruitful journey in Central Asia in the mountains of Kazakhstan, where they have been growing for millions of years and where they can still be found growing wildly today. These original wild apples grew in apple forests, spread out over miles and miles. The apples in these forests would have been all different shapes, colours and sizes and flavours. The people who ate these apples began to plant the seeds and experiment with growing the apple trees themselves. These seeds were then slowly carried throughout time across the world by people, birds, and bears. In 1300 BC, the Egyptians began planting orchards across the river Nile. In 800 BC, the ancient Greeks learned the skill of grafting. Grafting is where you take the cutting of an apple tree you like the fruit of and then attach it to the young roots and trunk of another tree. You have to do this with apple trees because did you know if you plant an apple seed, the apple tree that grows will have completely different tasting and looking apples? By grafting, you create a tree that grows the apples you enjoy. Then ultimately, the Romans were introduced to the apple tree and they planted trees wherever they roamed until ultimately introducing them to countries like here where I live in Great Britain. Now, you've probably heard the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And this is definitely true because human beings have eaten apples not just for their delicious flavour, but for their health benefits too, for thousands of years. When we dive all the way back in time into the herbal history books, we can see that apple juice was potentially one of the first drinks prescribed to treat depression. Probably because being handed a glass of apple juice thousands of years ago would have been a big deal and would have definitely cheered you up. But they was also using apples to treat digestive issues. Now this is really true today. We found out when science dived into the nutritional properties of an apple, not only does it contain vitamins, minerals and antioxidants, it contains something special called pectin. Pectin is something we use in recipes to help thicken them up. That's why when you make an apple crumble, it goes all thick and sugary and nice. But this pectin is also really good for our bodies too because it's a type of fibre, and this fibre in apples feeds our gut-friendly bacteria, and having a good balanced and well-fed gut bacteria is great for our physical and mental health. It keeps a perfect harmony within our bodies. Now, when we eat apples, the pectin goes down within, feeds the good bacteria in our bodies, and this helps protect us against chronic diseases. How incredible is that? And when science dived into the world of apples further, they also found that they can help prevent diabetes, reduce our risk of things like strokes, and also help prevent certain types of cancer. I guess an apple a day really can keep the doctor away. So apples are rich in health benefits, and they're also rich in history too. Of course apples are rich in history. All throughout humankind we've absolutely loved apples. These fruits not only take care of us, they're delicious and grow in abundance. And we can find tales of their history, myth, legends and folklore all throughout time. Of course, the most famous one is the legend of Adam and Eve. And it was said that Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden for picking the forbidden apple. And we also know that the Vikings absolutely loved apples. How do we know this? Well, not long ago, an entire Viking ship was dug up. They buried an entire boat. And what was this boat filled with? Barrels of apples. And over in ancient Greece, they used to believe that if you threw an apple at someone and they caught it, then this means if they caught it that they loved you in return, because nothing says love like an apple to the head. In our latest kids book, Foraging, the complete guide for kids and families, we've had all these tales and myths and legends illustrated to help make the history fun and engaging. So there we have it, people. The awesome apple tree. What an incredible tree. What a blessing from Mother Nature. As always, people, it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to do all the modern world things such as like and comment on this video, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell, and all the engagement this video gets then makes YouTube share it to more people. So please engage with this video so our nature inspired education can spread across the land. Check out our awesome series of books, Knowledge to Forage, and our latest book, Foraging, the Complete Guide for Kids and Families. And also check out Stella's Forage, Follow Along Foraging. She's up to this great new venture which I adore, where she creates these educational work packs that you receive each month. You print these off and then you can learn our nature inspired education in a fun and engaging way. So check that out. All the links to all that stuff is in the description. But most importantly of all, take care of yourselves and I'll see you all next time. Peace.
You can count the seeds in an apple, but can you count the apples in a seed? With over 7,500 different types of apples, there's plenty of flavours indeed. They say to hear the heart of the one you desire, you must cast the apple seeds into a fire. But the more we understand, read and learn, we can see these seeds are far too precious to burn.